I know this was a rivalry that kind of was born out in the '90s. It wasn't really anything until then, but it was every year, and so now that's not going to be. Instead, they get Texas, Alabama, A&M, and LSU. So that's where the 7 and 5 might creep in, because it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's a very tough schedule. It's a 9-game conference schedule, obviously, which everybody has. So that I mean, it's a fair assumption that Tennessee's going to go 7 and 5 or whatever, because when you look on paper, find 9 wins on there. That's pretty tough.
Yeah. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Dooley Dome. Great show for you today. Adam Sparks will join us from the Knoxville News Sentinel about Tennessee football and about the SEC and all the crazy stuff that's going on out in Miramar Beach now. And it's funny, my friend Scott Carter wrote a thing about what's going on in the meetings in Destin, and he said, but now it's Miramar Beach, and actually it's always been in Miramar Beach, but everybody used Destin as the date line. But when I saw the Miramar Beach, all of a sudden everybody's using it, and I'm like, where's Miramar Beach? And I went, Miramar is in South Florida. Miramar Beach, of course, is out there about 3 miles east of Destin. But anyway, I've been through there before. All right. And then Coach Spurrier, Monday, I believe he'll be here Monday. He'll be done with Pebble Beach and be able to come on the show. Still working on a Thursday guest. Got a lot of stuff going, but I'll get that done. Be able to tell you who that'll be Monday. All right, let us start off our show, as we always do, with our Money Medals starting 5. MoneyMedals.com is your home for gold and silver purchases, one of the largest distributors in all the United States. 2 Gator grads are running it, and you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865 or at MoneyMedals.com. Okay, on our Money Medals starting 5, let's start off with baseball, because obviously the regionals in town this weekend, it's a buzz level. I mean, there was that for softball too, of course. We all know how intense that got. There could be the same kind of intensity, although I don't know that, I mean, you got Blake Sear, who played at Miami, but he's played against them plenty of times. I don't think you'll see anything like what we saw last week. Last week was not good. It was intense and a little too intense in some cases. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, this week we have baseball. Regionals are special time. Look, this is why the coaches get paid what they get paid, is how you do in regionals. And how you get, how you do in super regionals, how you do in the College World Series. You don't get paid for regular season. You don't get paid for SEC tournament. I know you want to win every game. You're competitive, but this is where it really matters. Because Florida, you want to get out of the regional, which they didn't last year, of course, being on the road. They're at home. Since our last show, of course, was Monday, and we couldn't tell you where the regionals were because we did the show earlier in the day, and it was done on at noon. But no big surprise that Florida ended up with the 8th seed. I think a lot of people had projected them there. Their body of work was so good. And so they can host and then host again. They'd play Southern Miss, the winner of that regional of Hattiesburg. Maybe it's Southern Miss, maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know if Florida's getting out of this regional. I do know this. They need to play like they haven't played at home. I mean, that's the funny thing. And again, I keep giving you this stat, but it's still an amazing stat that Florida has 22-13 at home and 17-6 away from home. And that's only 4 neutral site games. So they've been a better road team. They've been a home team all year. But it's time to be a good home team. This is you got home field advantage for the regional. Then if you win the super regional, what more can you ask for a trip to go to Omaha? I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's never easy. But I will say this. I think it's, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, that I thought softball got kind of a soft regional, and they did. I think it showed up. they certainly didn't get a soft super regional. In fact, I think Texas Tech was underseeded, but that's neither here nor there. But I think Florida's got certainly a very manageable regional. Let's just put it that way, because obviously Miami here is an arch rival. That's become a rite of spring. They send Miami to Gainesville, and they used to send Florida to Miami until Florida got better than Miami, so Florida ends up hosting those. But I mean, I've been to multiple regional games down in Coral Gables. The point is, though, Florida has to start playing good on Friday. Friday, 1 o'clock. It's Ryder. I know it's not going to knock anybody's socks off. Ryder is they're kind of a sneaky good team. They got 5 guys hitting over 300. They again, they're stepping up in competition. It's a totally different level of competition. But the bottom line is Florida should be rested. They're pitching exactly whatever they want to do, whatever he wants to do. I'm curious to see. I'm assuming Aiden King will start Friday and Liam Peterson Saturday, and then you got to go from there. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting. I'm excited about it. I think everybody's excited about it. This Troy team that's coming here. The one reason I consider it a soft regional is Miami really has been kind of up and down all year. They've struggled a lot, but I mean they have basically the same record Florida. They just haven't played as good at teams. But they played really good teams. I mean, Georgia Tech, who they lost to in the final. Georgia Tech, I think, was the 2 seed, number 2 overall seed. But FSU and Florida were going to get regionals because they had a good season, and you knew that. And it's hard to get. I know that there have been times when 3 regionals have been in the state, but very rarely does that happen. They just don't want to pile them all up to the same state. Well, there's a reason why we play great baseball down here, and there's a reason there are 5 teams from the state of Florida in the regionals. And surprisingly, there's a couple that I thought would get in, like USF, but they didn't. But the other thing is Troy didn't even win its conference. I'm like, when you look at Troy and you look at the body of work, you're like, okay, well, they did win some big games. They surprised some people. They beat Southern Miss, for example, the team that is so that would make them the 9 seed, right? Yeah, because they would play Florida. Anyway, Troy didn't win its conference, didn't win its tournament, still got in. That's fine. I'm glad to see the men from Troy here, but who knows what's going to happen. Look, Florida, and I wrote this thing for Patreon, the 5 things Florida's got to do to win this regional. And one of them is play clean, man. They haven't played a lot of clean baseball of late. They've been better at it, but they've had the one reason for all these home losses is they played really poorly defensively. The other reason is they haven't been able to always pitch their best pitchers, and they've struggled to find out how that's going. They're set now. They know what they have. This is where you want to be. You want to be a top 8 seed. You want to be hosting regional. You want to be hosting super regionals if you get that opportunity. And you want to be playing your best baseball. And that's what Florida is doing right now. Certainly the loss to Georgia wasn't a fun one, but, I got them home a day early. So the bottom line is Florida's got a really good team, and they just need to play at the same level they've been playing at for the last, 10 or 11, 12 games, whatever that is. If they do that, they'll take care of business. They kick it around. I'll never forget that regional back over at the Keithan. Miami was here, and their fans were, I know this will shock everybody, but their fans were real asses the entire weekend. And then in the last game, they kicked it like 4 times. I think we were just like, hit the ball to short. And they and lost that regional. And they were saying, well, look at the rings, look at all of our rings. And of course, Florida had no rings at that point, but then they did eventually. Anyway, it'll be intense because it's Miami. It'll be intense because they'll have fans there. Not a ton. Troy will have probably as many as Miami does. I don't know that Ryder will have any fans at all, except parents will come down. I would like to see the con, as I like to call it. get pretty loud, get pretty rowdy, make home field worth home field. Make it be a home field advantage. That place can be really quiet, and it needs to be. People need to be electric. Now I know it's going to be warm. We don't know if rain's going to be an issue. It's had a lot of rain already this week, and I looked at the weather, and you never know, and it's how you deal with that. I've been to a million regionals in my life, a million. I am exaggerating slightly. I covered regionals in Starkville back when I worked for the Florida Times Union. I covered, even when I was sports editor here, I covered regionals because I would call all the other papers back when it was 16 regionals and say, hey, you guys probably don't want to send anybody here from Texas A&M, for example, back in those days. I'll cover the A&M team for you, and I would go there and write, and I enjoyed it. I love going to regional baseball. And I'll be out there this weekend, probably at least for some of it. Anyway, baseball, the big story, and we'll see how they do this weekend. All right, let's move to number 2 on our Money Medals starting 5. Brought to you by Money Medals. Let's go to the game times being announced for the first 3 games. Now, no big surprises here again. FAU will be a 7:45 game on the SEC channel. You know what that means? It's an evening game. It's late evening, I mean, it'll be dark pretty quick. But the main thing is it's as cool as it can possibly be. You can't play a game much later than 7:45 on the SEC network. And Florida certainly don't want to do that. And you guys, all you people that are be going to the game, are going to have a great time because you can do whatever you want. You can show up at 4, you can show up at 5, you can show up at 3, you can start at noon, whatever you want to do. Start your tailgating. It should be a great crowd, and look forward to that. The Campbell game, the Fighting Camels coming to town, is a 5:30 game on ESPN Plus. Now I know that the people who have restaurants in our area not thrilled with that because people tend to come tailgate, then go home, or tailgating and they don't want to eat that late, so, but anyway, it's what it is. I mean, and this, I'll get to this whole thing in a minute, and then Florida Auburn is a 7:00 game on ESPN. And by the way, the good thing about the Campbell game is that you can get home in time to watch most of Ohio State, Texas. That is a 7:30 game, and I'm looking forward to that game. And I will say this, the early season games, the first couple of weeks of the year, not overwhelming. There's a bunch of good games, but there's not an overwhelming number of them. And they're not, most of them, other than Ohio State, Texas, most LSU, Clemson. I don't even know if you consider LSU, Clemson to be a big game. I mean, Dabo, are you even around? I mean, they're like 10-point underdogs in that game. All right, so that the game time's announced, and of course, people are already mad. And the first one that was mad was Hunter Yurachek, the AD at Arkansas, because Arkansas has to go to Utah, play a night game. It starts at like 9:30 their time, Central Time I'm talking about. Come home, get home at 3 and 4 in the morning, get ready for a earlier game, like a noon. I think they have a noon game against Georgia the next week. I think it's in Athens too. I don't like their chances in that game, but they're mad about it. And they asked Greg Sankey about it at the SEC meetings, and he goes, we expressed our concern, but they run it, man. ESPN, the networks, they run when your games are going to be played. You can make suggestions. It's the way it's been for a long time, guys. And all you have to do, Hunter Yurachek, you can play that game whenever you want. Just give them the check back. Just say, hey, we don't need your money. You're not doing that. We know that. You can complain and everything, but you're complaining as much because you want your fans to know you're outraged by this. They have to deal with it. The players, nobody, let me tell you what, nobody cares about player safety anymore. That ship has totally sailed as far as college athletes go. And that's my opinion, but I feel strongly about it. All right, let us, by the way, the Big Ten schedule came out too, and I was looking at that. There was nothing that got me real excited I don't know. It's kind of weird in the Big Ten now, even though you've had the last three champs. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting excited for this game. I'm looking at all these games, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I will. Anyway, let's move along to number 3 on our Money Metals starting 5, brought to you by Money Metals, and that is the spring meetings, which have been somewhat interesting, but no real substance. And we'll talk with Adam Sparks about this a little bit later, but obviously the SEC isn't making any decisions this week about the playoffs. They're going to do that in the fall, is when they said that's the plan. And look, I don't think it's going to. I think my man Blake Toppmeyer put it well, and I hope that's why we like to have a lot of these sports writers on who know more about it than I do. The bottom line is the ESPN does not want more games. They don't want. They can't afford more games, basically. So if they go to 24, they've got to let Fox have those games, some of the games. They don't want to do that. They want to keep them exclusively. So the SEC is saying, hey, we're going to do what our partner wants. I don't know where it's going to all end up. My gut is we're going to be playing 12 for a long time. But so that happened out there. Guys going back and forth about how many games should be played, and different ADs and different coaches saying different things about when they think it should be played. Look, when Kirby Smart comes out and says, I'm all in favor of breaking away and just having our own conference, and we'll play for a national championship. And Jerry Moorhead, the president at Georgia, said, yeah, we'll do that. I mean, just look at the ratings the Alabama-Georgia game got, the SEC championship game. What would it be if it was a national championship? And I go, yeah, it'd be good. But is it a national championship if only the SEC is allowed to play in it? No, it's not. That's not a national championship. That is an SEC championship. And then the national champ will be settled somewhere else. It's almost like everybody needs to shut up. Just shut up and let the people that know what they're doing handle this. But I'm not sure they want to handle it. I'm not sure they want to. Look, nobody is looking out for the good of the game. We know that. And so I think the argument that some of these coaches are making is if we go to a system where it's just we're the only league that matters, and we're playing a national title game, and the other ones are out. If they do that, okay, that would be great, but it would not be the same way. It's just not, doesn't make any sense to me. And look, if the Big Ten and the SEC want to split off and become this 34-team super league and maybe bring a couple of stragglers with them, I'm all in favor of that. It gives us better games. But I don't think that's happening either. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be sitting here in 3 years having the same arguments and same discussions. Just my feeling. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird how Sankey wants the 12 or the 16, and I've explained to you why. But other people are saying, no, I want 24. Now I want 12. Now I got, Sarkisian says, I want to go back to 4, blah, blah, blah. No, look, other people are going to decide this stuff, not me. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Money Metal starting 5. And that is the news that came out yesterday that Congress, two senators, Cantwell and Cantwell and Ted Cruz, have put this bill up there, a 111-page bill that is going to save college football, right? One-time transfer, antitrust exemption, spending cap, no pros playing college. All in favor of that. 5-year window, and that's it. That's all you get. You can transfer multiple times, but you can only transfer for free once. And no poaching of coaches, which Jimmy Sexton's still going to do that. I mean, all this sounds great, and it all sounds reasonable, and it all sounds good. But the question is, can it get through Congress? And then, because guys are going to step up and grandstand on this thing. I can't vote for this. because this is hurt my school. If this goes through, yeah, it might be great, but there's still going to be lawsuits. Is it going to be exempt from that? I don't know. It's a good move. It's a step in the right direction, but will it happen? I can't tell you that. I don't think anybody can tell you that. They may think they know, but they don't know. It might not. I don't know. I want it to. I totally agree with a spending cap of some kind, but you've got to see, this is where the SEC goes. We want a spending cap, but somebody else may not, and so they'll spend more. Texas Tech probably doesn't want a spending cap. College sports is a mess right now, but hopefully this was a step in the right direction. It can lead to something more. That's more than anything. It's not that these two senators are going to be considered heroes. It's a plan anybody at a 7-Eleven could come up with. Not with all the details, but they probably didn't write those anyway. Hopefully it works. I really do. I hope it works because we're in a bad place right now. All right, finally on our Money Metals starting five, brought to you by our friends at Money Metals. Let's give you the updates on what's going on in college basketball because I think it was last night at midnight or last night at 10 o'clock, whenever it was. Last day you could pull your name out of the draft. Some did, some didn't. Koa Pete, who we all know from Arizona, who was brutally tough on Florida in that opening game last year. He is going pro. Well, that's good news for him and good news for anybody who plays Arizona, but not good news for Arizona. However, I'll never pronounce this name right. Momklavich, I believe, from Illinois, really good player. He has pulled his name out. So he's going to be back, but he's in the portal. Supposedly, it's kind of going to come down to Kentucky and Arizona. Kentucky, I'm sure, has a lot of money because they haven't signed very many players. If I'm him, I'm probably saying I'd rather go to Kentucky for more money. But if I go to Arizona, I got a better chance of winning big. I don't know what he's going to do. I hope he goes to Arizona. And not only that, but with Koa Pete gone, I mean, he can step right into the spot. He's a different kind of player, shoots a lot of threes. He's a really good player. Tyler Tanner, you remember him from Arkansas, from Vanderbilt, who lit Florida up in that NCAA or SEC tournament game, is coming back, and he took it right down to the wire, and there was a lot of people just didn't know what he was going to do, and he didn't know. Interesting. I don't know that he would be a great NBA player. I'm not sure he's got the physicality to do it, but we'll see. Look, Jalen Brunson's, you know the whole story with the Becky Hammond saying your best player can't be short, and now he's proven her wrong and everything. But anyway, that's going on. And then you've got Alan Graves, who is staying in the draft. He's a kid from Santa Clara who had a huge breakout year this year. And anyway, he's staying in the draft. And you guys all know what's going on with Florida. Everybody's coming back. Florida's going to be number one. Nobody's going to pick anybody else number one. Be a lot of pressure. Well, we'll just have to deal with it, right? Season tickets are on sale. I'm ready to buy them. I just got to wait. I'm hoping that somehow I can get club seats. I'm willing to pay the money. I mean, I want to go see this team play for an entire season. Anyway, all right, that is our Money Metals starting five. We appreciate our friends at Money Metals. Getting ready to come out with that Gator coin. We'll let you know when that happens, and we'll show it here on the air. All right, that'll do it for our first segment. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Talk a little Tennessee, SEC, college football, maybe even some college basketball. Who knows? Maybe talk about quarterbacks and how we were all wrong last year. I can talk about that. All right, we'll be back with Adam right after we'll play Yes, No, Where, maybe with him right after this break here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. You know, I got thinking the other day, some of us gained a few pounds during the Spurrier years, and then maybe a few more during Urban. And depending on how stressful certain coaching changes were, well, let's just say the scale kept moving in the wrong direction. The truth is, losing weight gets harder as we get older. Not because you suddenly get lazy, biology changes. That's why I like our guys at BMI TeleMed. They're a Florida-based medical weight management telehealth practice that helps people lose weight with personalized treatment plans, including GLP-1 therapies. But what I like is they're not just about losing weight fast and wishing you luck. They focus on helping you keep it off too. Free consultation, easy process, real clinicians. Check them out at bmitelemed.com, because if your metabolism left town around the time Urban did, you're probably not alone. That's bmitelemed.com.
Give me 60 seconds and I'll show you why you should be buying silver and how to get started. Recent price spikes in groceries, healthcare, gasoline, steel, and lumber tell the story of inflation, as do raging bull markets in equities and housing. As the reality of all this inflation sinks in, investors will be acting quickly to diversify and protect themselves, their families, and their assets. That's why we're offering our Silver Starter Kit to help you get started in holding tangible wealth. This mix of our most recommended forms of silver includes 9 silver coins, totaling 4 troy ounces of fine silver. These pure silver coins have a low bid-ask spread, the difference between the price you pay to buy and the price you receive to sell. Low transaction costs are one reason Investopedia calls Money Metals the best dealer in America. Don't waste any more time. Start protecting your savings today with physical precious metals at moneymetals.com/go.
By now, you heard about the Florida Legends Experience in Gala, featuring Gator Heisman greats Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, and Steve Spurrier, all in one place at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Imagine catching a pass or taking a handoff from a Heisman winner, all while supporting Isaiah 117 to help provide safe, loving homes for children in need. Then enjoy an unforgettable evening at the Gala, filled with great food and lasting memories. Don't miss this historic event. Find out how you and your business can get involved at fllegends.com. That's fllegends.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is a great pleasure to bring in a guy I haven't talked to in a while. He had rotator cuff surgery, so he was out. But I always love talking to Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Talk a little Tennessee football, a little SEC football with him. Adam, you doing well today?
I'm doing pretty well. Vacation is coming quickly, and I'm ready to get it here.
Well, first of all, you got to find Chaz Coleman. If you can do that, we'll know where you are, because we'll just ping wherever that is. But that's an interesting story in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as we talked today, he is not on campus. For those that don't know, he's a 5-star transfer from Penn State, edge rusher. He was here for about a third of spring practice, and then was a no-show after that. And everything that Josh Heupel said is that it was for personal matters, personal reasons. We've heard mental health thrown around. We've heard homesickness. We've heard a few physical ailments, but nothing really confirmed. And so he's been around the team a little bit, but not very much. And then Tennessee brought in a brand new strength coach. It was Indiana's strength coach. So right after the national title game, Tennessee paid a lot of money to steal away Indiana's strength coach, and he is a no-nonsense military approach type guy, and that does not mix well with an edge rusher who doesn't show up to workouts. And so summer workouts started this week, and Chaz Coleman did not report, and now we're finding that he had posted on Instagram photos of him holding a lot of cash. So that's not.
Was it in a McDonald's bag or?
It was not. It was not. Now I will say that is, that's one of those funny things, is that the McDonald's bag associated with Jeremy Pruitt's cheating is false. It was a Chick-fil-A bag.
Oh.
People do use the McDonald's bag reference because I think it was Dan Patrick that had put that out for a few months, And then we went through the documents later and found out it was actually a Chick-fil-A bag. McDonald's bag sounds better, though. I'll have to admit. But as of right now, today we are waiting on to see if Chaz Coleman ever shows up and how long Josh Heupel can wait this out before. I mean, eventually, I think you have to cut him. I mean, you could just wait till August, I guess. There's no other portal to go get players. But it's a point of criticism for Josh Heupel either way, because if they keep him, there are questions of discipline. Is Josh Heupel a pushover? But if they cut him, then why did you not do more homework to know what you were getting with this guy? I mean, to put on top of this, Josh Heupel brought most of Penn State's defensive coaching staff to Tennessee this offseason. Jim Knowles was the DC, but they also got, two assistants, 2 or 3 analysts, and an assistant coach that coached edge rushers at Penn State. In other words, Chaz Coleman's coaching staff came with him and, gave the blessing that, hey, this is the guy you need to get. And Tennessee let one edge rusher go to South Carolina, who was a veteran guy, pretty good player, and then their Jordan Ross, who was going to be their star. He was a 5-star out of high school edge rusher, was going to be their next NFL draft pick at edge rusher, and he took off in the offseason to LSU with Lane Kiffin. So they let some pretty good edge rushers go to get this guy, and now this guy is not here. It's Josh Heupel's in the point of his tenure where people are starting to criticize some of his offseason moves, and this would certainly be one of them.
Yeah, it's like I was going to ask you about Heupel because, I mean, I like the guy. He seems like a good dude. But I wonder, I wouldn't say he's on a hot seat in any way, but certainly the bloom is off the rose a little bit, I think, with Josh.
Yeah, I mean, he had the reputation, and I think it's well earned, that his floor is very high and his ceiling is moderately high. In other words, Josh Heupel can get you 8 wins. He's not going to go 5 and 7. The program's not going to fall off a cliff. Butch Jones, a couple Tennessee coaches ago, had a couple of 9-win seasons, but then things just fell apart at the end. I don't think anybody thinks that Josh Heupel's going to have a fall apart season. But can he get beyond what they've been, which was 2 years ago? They got into the playoff and then got blown out by Ohio State. Was that the ceiling? And I think at this point, a lot of people around Tennessee think, okay, that's as good as it's going to get. It's never going to be bad. It's never going to be great. It's always going to be pretty good to good. And I think you're right that people are starting to wear on that a little bit. As you know, in this conference, if you get good, people are not satisfied with that. You better step it up a notch and be great. And the question is, can Josh Heupel be great? I'll say a lot of things have compounded too. After Tennessee went to the playoff 2 years ago, I heard that off-season talk of, when are they going to take the next step? And I would say, well, they just went to the playoff 4 months ago.
Yeah.
But there was already an assumption that things were falling backward before they even happened, and then they did. And I hear this offseason, people referring to Josh Heupel as a 7-5 coach. You go anywhere it's not just on Twitter. I get emails about it. I talk to people in person, and they say, I can't believe they didn't upgrade this roster enough. It's a 7-5 team. And I'm like, well, guys, they haven't gone 7-5 yet. You're assigning a record to a season that has not started yet. But that's sort of where the fan base is. Not all of them, but a lot of the fan base is thinking this is starting to slide a little bit. And I don't think that's fair. They had a disappointing season last year, but they also lost their quarterback at the last minute. They replaced him with a journeyman quarterback in Joey Aguilar, who by the way, in the regular season led the SEC in passing.
He had a good year, I thought. Yeah.
But there are everything in this transfer portal era, everything is picked apart in the offseason. You can win or lose in an offseason. And Tennessee's best transfer was Chaz Coleman, and we don't know if he's going to be on the team or not. And a lot of teams in the conference have really good quarterbacks, and Tennessee has good quarterback recruits, but they don't have a quarterback that's proven or has even thrown more than 20 passes in a meaningful college game. And people think they missed there. I don't know if they did or not, but people think that, hey, you should have had Sam Levitt. You should have had a really good transfer. You should have had another option than a redshirt freshman and a 5-star freshman, and that's what they have right now.
Yeah, it's going to be weird this year too. They don't play Florida, which is that. I know this was a rivalry that kind of was born out in the '90s. It wasn't really anything until then, but it was every year, and so now that's not going to be. Instead, they get Texas, Alabama, A&M, and LSU. So that's where the 7-5 might creep in, because it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's a very tough schedule. It's a 9-game conference schedule, obviously, which everybody has. It's a fair assumption that Tennessee's going to go 7-5 or whatever, because when you look on paper, find 9 wins on there. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
In week 2, they're at Georgia Tech, which will be a physical game. Tennessee will have a new quarterback. We still don't know who that's going to be. So you could lose a game in non-conference right there. And then some of the opponents you just mentioned in SEC play, that's the reason why people assume this is going to be a down year. You don't know who your quarterback is. Most teams that you play are going to have a veteran or a proven quarterback. You're going to have to win an extra game this year because of the conference schedule. And there's interesting pitfalls in there aside from just being SEC games. Auburn comes to Tennessee. Well, Alex Golesh was the offensive coordinator when Tennessee was rolling with Hendon Hooker. You can lose to Auburn. It's not great, but you can lose to Auburn. You can't lose to Alex Golesh at Auburn. By the way, Tim Banks, the defensive coordinator that Josh Heupel fired in December, is the co-defensive coordinator at Auburn. So, you can't lose that one. You can lose Texas, obviously, and Arch Manning and all that. But, can you lose to Lane Kiffin? Last time Lane Kiffin was here, there was, trash and a golf ball thrown at him. And
a thing of mustard.
I expect the exact same thing this time. But, that's another former Tennessee coach. You can lose to LSU, but can you lose to a Lane Kiffin coach LSU team? So there are losses in there, potential losses. There are also just pitfalls that would hurt Josh Heupel more than just a typical loss. And I think that's where some of the pessimism from Tennessee fans are coming from.
Well, it's interesting because last year it was hard to come up with leaving somebody off the top 10 quarterbacks in the SEC because there were so many great, and there were so many that were going to be so great. Nussmeier and Sellers and Lagway, they were all flops. Even Manning to a point was a bit of a flop, especially at the early part of his year. This year, I think everybody's a little bit more cautious about that. And also you got a situation, Florida doesn't know who their quarterback's going to be. Tennessee doesn't. I think now a lot of schools have, with Sam Levitt going to LSU and Kentucky picking up a quarterback, they know who their quarterback's going to be, but a lot of schools still don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So I think people are going to say, let's just wait and see who the best quarterback is.
Yeah, with Tennessee, it's a weird one because, again, when you have a coach for so long, there are criticisms that people are looking for, and when they think they see them, it just piles on another layer. And Josh Heupel had been criticized for being slow in the portal. Tennessee usually has signed close to the fewest players each year in the portal, and so Tennessee fans looking at free agency around the conference say, here we go again, didn't get a quarterback. When everybody else got a quarterback. Not everybody, but, especially a lot of teams on Tennessee's schedule have transfer quarterbacks. We'll see if they work out or not. But that's one of the criticisms against Josh Heupel right now that will creep up during the year if they're not good on offense. They had a chance to get Brennan Sorsby. Now that they dodged a bullet there.
That would have been something if they had gone back to back with Nico and Sorsby.
It was the most. It's been the talk around Knoxville that would have been the most Tennessee thing ever to get Sorsby, have a parade this offseason, and then all this happened. But so they dodged a bullet there. But they had Sam Levitt on campus, and Lane Kiffin flew into the Knoxville airport and stole him away.
Wow.
Now, do they get him anyway? I don't know, but they were offering a lot of money. I think it's fair to say that they were in the if Ty Simpson comes back to college football sweepstakes. So that didn't happen. They brought in Bo Pribula, the Missouri quarterback, and then I think didn't offer him. And so then, you sort of
Where did he end up, by the way?
Virginia.
Okay, yeah, he broke his ankle that
yeah.
game. Yeah.
And he good runner at
He's
times,
okay, yeah.
accurate throw. He's serviceable. I would say it would be nice for Tennessee if they had a guy like that as an insurance policy, a guy can do it to a reasonable degree. But Josh Heupel is a believer in the quarterbacks that he has. We'll see. George McIntyre's a redshirt freshman. A year ago, you thought he was the second coming. He's the next Nico. Didn't play really as a freshman. Didn't have a great offseason. He's had some weight issues, meaning he has barely gained weight, at least the weight that he needs. I mean, when you see him, he's 6'7", 200 pounds. Just really, really skinny. And he's put on weight. He's still skinny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Small forward. And then Faison Brandon they brought in as a 5-star, top 3 quarterback in the country. But Josh Heupel typically does not like to play true freshmen. And against that schedule, that'd be tough. So you can kind of see Josh Heupel setting himself up for either really harsh criticism if this doesn't go well, because, hey, you could have gone and got a transfer quarterback and you didn't, or him to look like a genius if this works out. And he's got a great track record with quarterbacks. He just usually doesn't have to do that with guys this young.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I have a lot of admiration for Josh as an offensive play caller and the way he gets his offenses to go, but it feels like it may be a little shaky this year. I don't know. We'll see how it all works out. Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. It's time for us to play the game we love to play. Yes, no way, or maybe. 3 questions for Adam, and is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. Go in there and say, "Hey, I listened to Adam Sparks on the podcast." You get free French fries with your order. And that food there is really good. All right. Number 1, speaking of food, Adam, you miss hot chicken from Nashville.
No way.
You're not a hot chicken fan?
I'm a fried chicken fan. I'm not a hot chicken fan. And I know a couple of the places that people, when you Google, you're supposed to go to in Nashville. One of them was by my office when I worked at the Tennessean. It's fine. It's also very touristy, and you're waiting in line for 45 minutes to eat fried chicken that's hotter than fried chicken should be. The mac and cheese is good. The fried chicken is fine. So I don't dislike it, but no way, I do not miss it.
That's like dreamland for me. I love Dreamland barbecue, but I'm not standing in line for any barbecue.
Right. I think of this. My wife and I travel quite a bit internationally in the off season. I'm about to head off to Italy and Greece here in soon. And whenever we go to these places, and it says you got to go eat at wherever because Instagram said so, and it's always like a line of 100 people, and I think this is the version of what you're talking about, Nashville hot chicken. There's a place around the corner that's just as good that you don't have to stand in line for.
Yeah, exactly. My wife and daughter are going over there. They're going to Amsterdam and Paris. So maybe you'll see them. To me, I look at Europe and I think of it being like that big,
Well, it's I was in we were in Paris at spring break. And this will be Greece, Italy, and we'll even do Germany a little bit. We were in Australia last year, Japan the year before
Wow.
that. We do the off season travel. But yeah, Europe is it's like the United States, but each state is a country, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It's interesting. I'm gonna get there one year. I don't know. Right now I'm not in the mood to go overseas, but hopefully everybody will be safe. All right, number two on Yes Nowhere, maybe with Adam Sparks. You still believe the first Star Wars that came out was the best one?
Ooh, as a Star Wars fan, yes. Well, no. Okay, I'll go maybe. Because the best two Star Wars are the first one, and then the second one, Empire Strikes Back. So A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. The first two are the best two, and then you can get into the newer stuff is not very good. Rogue One, if people know that movie, that's pretty good. But I'm gonna go maybe because it's really the first one and the second one. That's the toss up of the best two.
I would,
Very few things in the last 20 years have gotten anywhere close to that.
yeah, I would totally. I mean, they kind of lost me with Jar Jar Binks. From that point on, I was done.
Yes,
I was not standing in line to go to see a Star Wars movie from
that's a
that.
character that it would not go well today. It certainly didn't in the 90s either.
All right, and finally, number three on Yes, No Way, or maybe Tennessee, as a surprise, reaches the college football playoff this year.
Oh, um, I'll actually go maybe. I'm leaning no way, but I'll
You
go.
never know, though. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'll go maybe. Because here's the thing: when Tennessee made the playoff 2 years ago, they had they were good but not great on offense. So that was a non-Josh Heupel type team. Their quarterback Nico at the time was serviceable but not great. Their passing game was not great. All the hallmarks that you think of a great Josh Heupel team, like the Hendon Hooker team, those were not there in their playoff year 2 seasons ago. What was there was a phenomenal running game and a lockdown defense. Again, not necessarily what you think of Josh Heupel teams. Well, this year they return Deshaun Bishop, who was All SEC, 1,000-yard rusher last year, and they brought in Jim Knowles, who you could argue is the top three defensive coordinator in the country.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
That's why he demands the big bucks, right?
that's right. Yeah, I mean, he was great at Oklahoma State. He was great at Ohio State for their national title team. I mean, part of his deal was in the playoff game 2 years ago, Josh Heupel's offense could do nothing against Jim Knowles' defense, and so Josh Heupel said, "I'll take him on my side." And so if they're really good on defense, and Jim Knowles can do that turnaround quickly, and he has brought in, aside from Chaz Coleman, he's brought in a handful of players from Penn State, brought in a lot of his staff from there. They think the scheme is ahead of where it's been in the past when Jim Knowles has put it in. So if they're really good in defense, that schedule could work to their advantage. It's a very difficult schedule, but that also means you can lose two or maybe
You
three.
go 9-3, yeah.
Yeah, and strength of schedule can get you there. So I would go maybe. I don't think they're going to make it, but it would not shock me.
Well, it would not shock me either because I still think they have, like you said, that '98 team was about the defense. That
That's
was
right.
so it won the national championship. So
I talked to Phil Fulmer recently, and I asked him about the playoff. How the playoff is now, and he said, '98 would have been perfect for a big playoff because that was a team with depth, defense, and running the ball, physicality. That's good for playoff runs. And he said, but I'm thankful that I didn't have to play more than one game in there because you never know what would happen.
And he got to play against a backup quarterback.
That helped quite a bit. Yeah.
Didn't hurt either. But Phil was down here for the Spurrier Awards a few months ago. I got to talk to him a little bit. I always liked Phil. I made fun of him sometimes, but that's what you do.
He could kind of be, when he wanted to be, he could be the straight man to Spurrier's comedy. But often that would turn on him, and he'd be more the butt of the joke than I think necessarily he wanted to. But I'm glad to see that those guys get along. It is funny when you see these ex-coaches. They find out after the fact they had a whole lot more in common than they did different. And I think that's probably a good example of it.
That is absolutely true. Adam, always great talking to you, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, and just really appreciate your writing. You can read him at the Knoxville News, and he does a great job covering the Vols.
Yep, good to be on.
All right, we'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the hippie attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hopefully you enjoyed Adam, and I always enjoy talking to Adam. He's a good dude, man. Let us go ahead and move along to all of our fun stuff in the third segment, which starts with our Hesser and Kipke. 3 things. Hesser and Kipke, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipke is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. All right, let's start with some hockey. We haven't talked much hockey at all here on the show. I mean, I just don't have any dogs in the hunt this year. None of the state teams are in. The Rangers aren't in. That's the one New York team I do root for. But Carolina, I'm kind of a closet Carolina fan, only because I've been to Charlotte a lot of times. But they're up now 3-1 on Montreal. So I think that's cool when you beat one of the original teams in the NHL. If you beat them in the playoffs, I think it makes it even better. We'll see if they can continue to win. They just keep finding a way to win their games. So I've watched a little bit of it, not a ton, to be honest with you. But good luck to Carolina. I'm rooting for them. Although I did spend a little time in Montreal once, and it's a really nice city. You'd love it up there. Yeah, very cool. All right, let's get to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And I know Ken Hesser will like this because I'm going to talk about his Phillies, who are now making my Braves a little nervous because with a real manager, they're doing really good stuff. But they had, of course, you guys may know about this, Christopher Sanchez. How many runs did he give up in the month of May? 0.0. That's how many he gave up. And that is the first time since anytime you anytime you break a record with a guy with 3 names, it's a big deal because that means it was back in the olden days and they were probably playing pantaloons and, like sweaters in the middle of the sun. But it was Grover Cleveland Alexander, whose record had been there forever for having a May without giving up a run. That's amazing. I don't know how you do that. And I think he went 7 innings in every game too. So this guy's really good. Better figure him out because I don't want him catching the Braves. But that is pretty impressive performance. And number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Interesting because one of our listeners sent me a text. I think his name was Todd. Now I'm trying to remember his name. About something John Summerall said out at FCC Media Days. Or it might have been on something else. But anyway, he's out there too. Everybody's out there. And he said, if anybody, I had to coach Tulane, anybody who didn't want me to coach Tulane during that time, I wasn't going to go to that job. Florida did acquiesce on that, and so that's why he's at Florida. I'm happy he's here. Seems like he's going to do a good job. However, if Auburn said you can't, then that's an Auburn mistake. If somebody else did. The bottom line is the listener was asking how many more of these are we going to see, more of these Lane Kiffin type deals where guys say, I'm out, and this is where I think this bill, now again, who knows where this bill is going to come through. You can't poach coaches while their season's still going on. Well, that would be a great bill if it works. I would love that part of it because it's ridiculous. All the coaches who will leave their team, bolt on their team, tell these guys to give everything you got for the alma mater. It's important. Oh, I'm leaving. That's just not the way businesses should be. Well, it's certainly not sports businesses should be handled. Anyway, we'll see if that does happen. If it does, it's not going to be good. But maybe that bill will stop that. So we'll see. All right, that's our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move along to our Los Landeros smooth move of the week. Brought to you by our good friends at Los Landeros Tequila. Go beyond with Los Landeros. This is their final appearance for a while. I hope they're going to come back for football season. We've appreciated them as a sponsor the whole time they've been. I think it's a couple of years now, and they've been great. And hopefully they do come back for football season. But we've appreciated them very much and appreciate their tequila too. All right. Our smooth move of the week goes to Laura Rutledge. Laura Rutledge, for those of you who don't know, we've known she was leaving the SEC Nation to concentrate on the NFL stuff all along, but she put out a letter on Twitter and to her ESPN colleagues about how much she appreciated them. It was just as everything Laura does is great. She's the best. And by the way, you can see her June 2nd, next Tuesday. She'll be speaking at the Quarterback Club, a Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest club in the world, and look forward to seeing her there. And she's just the sweetest person in the world, and I just can't wait to see her. But if you want to go to that meeting, June 2nd, you can sign up to be part of the Gainesville Quarterback Club. It's a good deal, man. I can tell you. This is free of charge, I'm telling you this, because they're not doing sponsorship this year, but that's fine because I love that place and I love going there, and I look forward to June 2nd and being able to introduce Laura, and she is our smooth move of the week. Let us move along to our BMI TeleMed smart move of the week, brought to you by our friends at BMI TeleMed. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed, and give them a call at 727-383-1677 and tell them Pat Dooley sent you. You get a discount on your order. Work for me, it'll work for you. All right, so the BMI TeleMed smart move of the week are all these coaches in the SEC who are coming out and saying, yeah, I want this. I want that. I want, I want the SEC to go to a playoff I want to stay with a playoff system, but I want to have a game. I want to have an SEC championship game. In fact, Sark went so far as to say, I want a 14 playoff, 4 to go to the playoff. And I'm like, where are you going to fit that in? That's not going to work. But Drinkowitz, Clark Lee, Kirby Smart all came out and said, hey, we want the SEC championship game to stay. It makes a lot of money. Now, look, I agree with you. I think it should stay as long as it's making a lot of money and nobody's offering you more not to have it, which is this is where we get into the weeds on this whole thing. If you don't have the SEC championship game, that would mean you've gone to 24 probably, which would mean it may not be as lucrative as the SEC game just would be. Look, it's complicated, I know, but anyway. They're a smart move of the week because I want the SEC championship game to stay. But I am not looking at the books for the SEC. I don't have access to that. All right. Let us move along. It is time for this, that, and the other.
What do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other, as you know, as always, is brought to you by Notary Joe. Joe Newton will get you done. He will come around. I was looking at something about notaries the other day. There was a movie I was watching, and there was talking about notaries, and I was thinking about Joseph Newton. So give him a call if you want to have him come right to your house and do your notary. It's brought to you by Darshakow Insurance. If you're in the Atlanta area, give it a shot. It's the Southeast best women's Frisbee teams, the Atlanta Hustle. Give them a call. Go on the website, and you can garner tickets, especially up in that area. I know it's a big deal. I've been watching a little bit of it. All right, this is, remember the old days, not that long ago, when the SEC was winning the national titles every year. It was like, whoa, it's 7, 8 years in a row. We dominate everything. We are the kings of the world. And that was this. That was, well, then the Big Ten won 3 straight. Not a good look for the SEC. Won 3 straight. SEC didn't have anybody in the championship game. And on top of that, the Big Ten had the most players drafted in the first round for the first time, breaking an 18-year streak by the SEC of that. The other is that Greg Sankey came out and said, we're still the best league. There's no question about it. Top to bottom, we are the best league. We're better than everybody in football. Sorry. Well, that's a bold statement, but it's what you expect your commissioner to say, and I don't disagree with him. I do think top to bottom the SEC is harder, but winning championships is what it's all about. And right now the Big Ten owns the SEC. I think there have been something like 4-0, and Sankey was trying. And look, I love Greg; he's a good dude. But he was trying to make the argument, well, there were a lot of close games and bowls and playoff games and stuff like that. Well, you win or you lose. It's all about whether you get a dub or an L. That's all that matters. That is this, that, and the other for this lovely Thursday. Let us move along to our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Adams Rib Company. Nana's Nuggets available tomorrow. And all your barbecue needs over there at Adams Rib, we appreciate them. So our Gator of the Week the Gators of the Week are all 5 of the Gator athletes who advanced to the NCAA championships in Eugene. This is track and field we're talking about, men. And the women are getting ready to go out today, especially Tommaso Masakani, or maybe Masakane, I don't know. He was a long jumper and was 20th going into the last round, 20th, and ends up winning it. So this was up in Lexington, by the way. And so 5 already, and there's a bunch more that have qualified, and we'll keep telling you about those. Look, all we got left are baseball, track and field, men's golf. That's it. That's the list right now. Men's golf starts tomorrow. That's the list of things we have left until we get to football season and soccer and volleyball. So we're going to talk about that as well. Those are our Adams Rib Co. Gators of the Week. Let us move to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick of the week. We're going to give you 2 this week, 2 chances to qualify. One's very simple. Does Florida win its regional? Very simple question. I asked it to Robbie Andrew on Monday. He thinks he said maybe. That's where I would go. Maybe. I think they've got the best team. Will they play well? We'll have to see. I hope they do. And then the other one is there are 5 state teams in the NCAA tournament from the state of Florida. How many of them win their opening game? So your numbers would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not hard. You could turnover. First turnover of the year. Yeah, so look, it's not that hard. You can come up with it. You'll do fine with that. My guess is because you got JU in one, UCF's pretty good though. I don't know. I would probably go around 3, but we'll see. Whatever you do, send it in, patrickdooley54@gmail.com. And we're about a week and a half away from pulling another winner for $25 at Leonardo's, plus a bonus gift that I throw in just from the goodness of my heart. Let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Brought to you by our friends at Gallo Car Wash. They do such a great job. It's where we get all of our cars washed. All right, the Sponge of the Week was another guy who got up and made a presentation at the SEC spring meetings. And here's what he told everybody. How much money do you think is bet on SEC sporting events in a year? 12, and make sure I say it right, $12 billion. Not 12 million, $12 billion on SEC sporting events. And that's why they feel like they need to make sure that these student athletes understand the ramifications. The Brendan Sorsby thing, the reason I haven't even brought that up is because, he got, the NCAA said, no, you're ineligible. And they're going, oh, we'll sue. Well, that's not over by any means. Anyway, that's our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week, is the SEC soaking up all that money for betting on their games. And look, we're very passionate about SEC football. All right, let's wrap it up as we always do with our Swamp Restaurant Games of the Weekend, brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, the place to go to watch games and to eat and to drink and to be merry. OKC at San Antonio tonight, 8:30 on NBC. Saturday, if necessary, games at 8 o'clock on NBC. And Montreal at Carolina is at 8 o'clock on TNT on Friday, if you want to watch that. Baseball, Florida plays Ryder at 1 o'clock. That's on ESPN+. If you want to watch the Troy-Miami game, which follows, it's at 6 o'clock, and it's on the ACC network. The rest of the TV schedule we can't really give you. You're gonna figure out where the Gators are playing. And then if you want to watch softball, it's on all day today. It starts at noon and ends at like midnight. So if you want to watch it, I don't know that I can. I probably will, but I don't know. I left a bad taste in my mouth. And don't forget the French Open is on. I believe Ben Shelton's playing today. And if he gets by that, then he'll play in 2 days. So keep an eye on him. I watched a little this morning. It was actually pretty interesting. So there. That'll do it for another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging. Coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be back with another show on Thursday. And until then, for Zach Rockrock, who does a great job, I am Pat Dooley saying I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.